Hey everybody, how are you guys doing? It's time for another Sunday school lesson. Yes, today is the day where we learn about our predecessors, those who have greatly contributed to this country that we live in. And so the woman of the hour is Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone, ladies and gentlemen, she was an Black inventor, and she is responsible for the ironing board. Yes, that's right, the ironing board. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. Sarah Boone, was born in February 1832 in North Carolina. There were other references that said she was born in like 1897 in Mississippi, but the majority of the references that I have reviewed has said that she was born in 1832 in North Carolina near the town of New Bern. I've never been to North Carolina. I'm not sure where that is, but that is what said where she was born. It is safe to say, so to speak, that Sarah Boone was born a slave at that time. However, there are no real references to that. My speculation being is that quite naturally, no one would want to contribute, to the fact that, this great inventor was born a slave in this country. But she was there in North Carolina. But at the age of 15, Miss Sarah Boone, she married. Her maiden name was Sarah Marshall. However, at the age of 15, there's a beautiful picture of her, guys. Beautiful, beautiful lady. She married James Boone in North Carolina. And so he was a freedman. He was not a slave. He was a freedman. And shortly after they married, they moved to New Haven, Connecticut, right before the outbreak of the Civil War. And so it was there in Connecticut that she worked as a dressmaker. And her husband, James Boone, he worked as a brick mason. Okay. And so they both had their careers going, yes. And so she was a dressmaker. So quite naturally, it makes sense as to why she created this ironing board, right? She was working in that area. Quite naturally, things that they were using before wasn't, profitable for her, wasn't efficient. And so this woman says, you know what? I'm gonna make something, that'll work for me, that I'm gonna help make my job easier. And that's what she did. So prior to her invention, this right here is what was most used. So they would prop, a piece of wood, on top of a table or across two chairs, and that's how they ironed back in the day. And also, it is said that, a lot of people, or a lot of things that I reviewed, guys, they don't want to say that Sarah Boone was the first inventor of the ironing board, but to go from this to this, I think it's fair to say that, she was the first inventor of the ironing board. I believe it's fair to give her the credit of what we know today as the ironing board. Okay, so for this video, everybody can say whatever else they want, but for this video, we are going to say that yes, Sarah Boone created the ironing board. And so here's actually, I don't know if you guys can see this. I want to make sure you can see this real good. Here is actually the drawing of the patent that she made right here. And I know it's not a very large photo. I was not able to get that done before coming before you guys today. However, you can go and look up her patent, and you will be able to, see a much bigger photo. Her patent number is US 473653. Okay. That's US 473653. And again, this is the drawing that she made. And this was at the time that she was, living in Connecticut as a dressmaker. And so her objective for creating this ironing board was to be able to produce a cheap, simple, convenient, and highly effective device, particularly adapted to be used in ironing the sleeves and bodies of ladies' garments, right? So like I said before, she wanted to make something that was efficient for her, being that she was working, in this area. And so, how astounding is that she took it from, this is what they were using before, to something that was, much more efficient. It had, the sides here were very narrow for being able to, throw the sleeves over and iron it. Before, y'all, they was using this big old thing, And here, of course, you have the leg, so it was collapsible. And, that's what she did. And I just think that it is amazing. One of the things that I would like to mention, too, about this story, or something I would like for you guys to take away from her story, is that there is no invention too great or too small, okay? It is not one too great or too small. Maybe, they want to say that she made improvements to the ironing board, not really giving her full credit. But look how far, the ironing board has come, to this day. We have, something much more modern than what she had made back in 1892. However, there is no invention too great or too small. If you are working in an area right now, I'm sure, on your day-to-day, working on that job, wherever it is, you've probably said, you know what, there's got to be an easier way of doing this, right? You probably said that in your mind, right? Explore that. Explore that. Figure out, hey, maybe there's something a much more efficient way to be able to do this work that I'm doing. If so, by all means, go after it and create that, and that's what I want us to be able to take from Sarah Boone. Another thing that she mentioned about the ironing board is that it was much easier now for the inside and outside seams of the sleeves of ladies' waists and men's coats to be pressed. So this was much more convenient. This was a much more convenient model for her to use in her area of field. And so here is a picture of Mrs. Boone at the time, around the time that she received the patent for the ironing board. Again, she is a beautiful and intelligent lady, and yeah, she's gorgeous, y'all. She's gorgeous. This lesson today is actually pretty simple and pretty short. It says that she died in 1904 there in Connecticut. At the time that she created the patent for the ironing board, she was one of the first African-American women to even receive a patent, okay, in that time of 1892. So again, like I said, this lesson was pretty simple and sweet, but how exciting is it to know that, your predecessor invented the ironing board? You probably never knew that. No, you never knew that. Nobody ever knew that, actually. And like I said in my research, I found it, quite interesting that they don't mention that, she was born a slave, although in that era of time, quite naturally, she was. And however, at the time of her invention, she was a free woman. But how um, how could America, admit that someone who created something that was necessary and made it much more easier for certain things to be done was born a slave in this country, right? And so I just want you guys to take pride in learning more about your history. We have a powerful history. We really do. And I say that every time, and I'm going to keep saying it every time until it gets stuck here. Because the thing about it is, we have identity issues because things like this, people like Miss Boone, have been kept away from us. This is another hidden figure, right? Things like this have been kept away from us, and not only us, but whites in America too, Asians in America, Hispanics in America. Everybody, all of America needs to know that Black Americans made great contributions to this country. Great contributions to this country. And it has been wanted, it has been desired to be kept swept under the rug, you know, um, for the sake of those with power to keep a people, in inferior positions, not knowing themselves, not knowing that they can be great. And so I want to encourage you guys that, there is no invention too great or too small. If you have an idea, to make something better or something smoother, something easier, much more efficient, go ahead and cultivate that. You never know. Never know. You don't know the greatness that is inside of you. And you come from a powerful people. And so, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is today's Sunday school lesson. It was short and sweet, I know. But being that era of time, there wasn't a whole lot that was recorded on her life story, unfortunately. Nothing was really said about her childhood. Like I said, she was probably a slave during that area and during that era of time. And so, there's not a lot of stories on, our people during that era, other than they were enslaved and they picked cotton. Well, that's a lie. Okay, that's a lie. We invented things. We're intelligent people. So yes, remember that name. So when y'all get up in the morning and y'all go to ironing y'all stuff on a nice smooth board, and you can iron your little dress shirt and your skirts and stuff like that. Y'all owe that to Miss Sarah Boone. All right. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay tuned for this coming Sunday. As always, it's been fun. Y'all just tuned in to another Sunday school lesson. Peace.